Hey, what's up everybody? Bob here, your virtual upline, and another session of the office hours begins. So, hey, I hope you're having an amazing week, and as you know, this is your opportunity to hop on live here with me and get some questions answered. Any and all topics are on the table, whatever it is that you're struggling with, whatever you need help with. All you have to do is hop on here live and type your question into the chat, and we will go ahead and start answering those. So hey, listen, let me know when you're here. Hey, Courtney, welcome. Thanks for hopping on live. And let me know what it is that you need help with today. Hey, Tina. Hey, Paula. Hope you all are having an amazing week. So I'm going to actually kick it off this week with a question that was submitted, and I apologize. I don't remember exactly who it was that asked the question, but the question was, and I want to start the office hours by answering this for all of you. I said I would do it live because I'm guessing that probably a lot of you may have a similar question. And as you're hopping on here, if you have a question, just type it into the chat, and then I'll scroll back when I'm done. But so the question was this. The question was, how is there a format that you would recommend using for conducting three-way phone calls? So you are, let me paint the picture here. You are the expert, or let's just, I am the expert. You are the person, and you're bringing your prospect to me. So I am the expert that's supposed to help you deliver the information, answer questions, and potentially close your prospect. Is there a format to follow? And I have a general loose format that I used to follow every time I went into a call like that I'll share with you. Here's what it was. The first thing that I would do when you bring that prospect to me for a three-way call, the first thing I want to do is just take a moment just to introduce myself. Right now, I'm not going to go into my whole full story because the call's not about me at this point, it's about them. And so introducing myself may sound something like this. Let's say Lindy is the prospect. And I say, hey, Lindy, it's so great to meet you. You know, I've heard some great things about you from Kathy. Kathy's the rep. And, I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to speak with you and get to know you a little bit better today. Like, that's it. That's the intro, right? Because I think sometimes what a lot of leaders make the mistake of doing is they make the call too much about them. They talk too much. See, your goal when you're doing a three-way call is to talk as little as possible. And you want to get the prospect talking, because if the prospect is talking, that's going to make them feel more comfortable, and that's going to give you more of a chance to actually close them and move them to action. So it's a very brief introduction. Hey, great to meet you, Lindy. Looking forward to chatting with you. And here's the next thing. See, you always want to try to ask leading questions. So an example of a leading question would be something like this. Hey, Lindy, I'm just curious. I know that you had a chance to watch a couple of short videos, or you listened to a call, or you tried the product. See, because I'm going to assume that they have consumed a third-party tool. Because I don't want my people bringing someone to me that hasn't at least had a third-party tool, because I don't want to have to do all the work. I want them at least to have an idea of what they're coming to me for. Now, ideally, as the leader, I'm going to want to say to the rep that's bringing the prospect, hey, what have they seen or what have they heard so far? Just so I know what I'm working with. So I say, hey, I know you had a chance to see some information. I'm curious. What do you like best about what you've seen so far? So that's the leading question. What do you like best? What's the one thing that stood out to you? I want to find out what their kind of hot button is. If there's any one thing in particular. Now, sometimes people will give you something. Sometimes they won't. What happens a lot of times is they'll go right into asking questions. All right. And that's okay. But I want to at least see, is there something that they're really hot on? Maybe they're like, yeah, I love the product, and oh yeah, why did it say? So I find out why it is they're focusing on a specific thing. It's really, really good information. So after that, and by the way, we're like not even a minute into the call at this point. Now, if they haven't already started volunteering the questions, which will happen with a lot of green apples, I'm going to just say, hey, look, what questions do you have for me? Could I help you answer any specific questions? See, because here's the thing. You have to understand the psychology of a prospect. If they have a specific question in mind, which could be an objection, and you just go into this long diatribe telling them about yourself and talking, and they haven't gotten that question or objection answered in the very beginning of the call, they're not going to listen to you the way that they need to. They're not going to be receptive to what you're saying. So you need to dig right into it. And I say, hey, hey, Lindy, what questions do you have for me? Anything specific? And most of the time, people will have a couple of questions. So I want to answer that question. Now, here's the key with answering questions. You don't want to do anything more than what they ask you. Like so many times I could remember when I was first starting to do these three-way calls. Out of nervousness, somebody would ask me a simple question and I would give them that answer, but then I would go rambling on and on and on, giving them a bunch of other information that they didn't really ask for. Remember, your goal is to say as little as possible during these calls. So I answer your question and I say, great, do you have any other questions? And what's going to happen is, as you answer the questions and as you get to know them and build a little bit of a rapport, more and more of your story will naturally come out. The more you can bring your own experience or even tell stories of other people, like if you know that prospect is a nurse, and you know that you have another nurse on your team that has had success, well, then you want to do everything in your power that when you answer a question, find a way to bring that person's story. Hey, matter of fact, we've got Jill on the team and she's a nurse just like you. And let me tell you a little bit about how she handled those issues, right? So the more stories that you can tell, that's what people they connect with stories. But don't over talk, right? Be direct with your answers. Weave your personal experience in as you do that. And then eventually you're going to get to a point in the call where they're basically going to be like, yeah, I don't really have any other questions. So now, yes, Anna, this is how you lead a three-way call as an expert. So now here's where your job is to ask the closing question, right? The closing question is very simple. They say they don't have any more questions. I say, great. Hey, Lindy, let me ask you a question. So do you see or do you hear an opportunity for yourself, right? Do you see an opportunity for yourself? Now, the answer is going to either be yes or no. If the answer is no at that point, then there's not another word that needs to be said other than, well, hey, you know what? I appreciate your time. Here's the thing. Cindy can talk to you a little bit about the products. Maybe you might consider helping her business and trying some of the products. We love them, and I'm sure you'll feel the same way. And that's it. It's done. It's not my job to convince them. Now, what will happen most of the time is people will say, yeah, I think I do, or kind of depends. But if they say, yes, I do see an opportunity, now it's your time to put a little pressure on and test their temperature. And that's what I want you to think about. It's almost like you're testing their temperature to see how hot of a prospect they are. Here's how you do it. If I say, do you see an opportunity? They say, yes. I say, great. Are you ready to get started today? Are you ready to get started? Like, just ask the question. See, some people are so afraid to ask that question. Somebody has to ask it at some point. And I'm here to tell you, the earlier you can ask that question, the sooner you'll get to the bottom of what's really happening in their head. Because now I've made things a little uncomfortable. Like, there's a little healthy friction, which is my job. So now they're like, well, yeah, I'm not yet. And that's okay. I'm not going to keep trying to ram it down their throat, but I got to find out now if they say not yet. Here's my next question. Okay, hey, I get it. Let me ask you this, just so that we're all on the same page. Scale of 1 to 10. This is going to sound familiar. 1 being no interest at all. 10 being you are ready to get started today. Where are you? And just let them give you their number. And here's the thing is if they say I'm at a 5, then you say, awesome. What do we need, or what information do you need to make that 5 a 6, a 7, or an 8? Or if they're at a 6, a 7, 8, or 9. Look, I'll tell you, if they're not ready, anything below a 7, they're not going to get started. They're just not going to happen. And that's cool. So all you're doing is you're getting whatever they need. Maybe they need to learn more about this, or just sometimes it's like, I just need to think about it. And that's okay. a lot of people will not make decisions. Most people will not make decisions in a scenario like that. So if they're just like, I need to think about it, talk to my wife, husband, whatever, that's okay. But here's the thing is you need to make sure that that rep sets a specific follow-up date for that next step. Maybe it's, hey, I'll get you this additional video. I'll get you this brochure. We'll allow you to share what you've already seen with your spouse. And hey, let's follow up tomorrow. There needs to be a definite next step. And that's the way that I used to run a three-way call. It was a very loose structure. Everyone was different. Some were super short. Some went really long. But at the end of the day, if you can have somebody bringing you an interested prospect, they've consumed a third-party tool, those calls are some of the most effective things you'll do in your business. I would have been on those calls all day long. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be talking to interested prospects because I knew that that's how we were going to drive the business and help grow the team faster. And I know some teams do them, some don't, but I still believe very heavily that they're incredibly effective if they're done the right way. So that's the way that I used to run them, and hopefully you all found that information helpful. Okay, so Courtney says, hey, Courtney, due to my trainings, her home office has asked her to be involved in the corporate training and helping develop the corporate systems. Courtney, congratulations. You can send my referral commission check to... No, I'm just kidding. Okay, that's awesome. And now, okay, so it starts off awesome, but then it takes a little bit of a detour. My upline is strongly recommending against it because I shouldn't give away our secrets and I should always want our team to have a competitive edge. Courtney, I am so glad that you asked this question. Now listen, I'm sure your upline is an incredible person, okay? And I'm sure she thinks she's doing the right thing, but what you are, I just did a training on this yesterday. What you are describing is a scarcity mindset to the T. And I will tell you one thing, if you lead from a scarcity mindset, you will never achieve the big success in this profession. Like, that's scarcity. Thinking, I don't want to give our secrets away. Well, why? Who cares? See, you need to have a mindset of abundance. That the more you put out into the world, the more you help, the more you give back, the more you get. Scarcity is, oh, that's our thing. Scarcity is, these are our secrets. We don't want anybody else to know. Scarcity is, oh, you can't talk to people in other companies because what if they try to recruit you? Look, I'm going to tell you this, the number one problem that the network marketing profession has is scarcity mindset. It is the reason why a lot of people look down on this profession. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir because you're here. Legacy leaders operate from abundance. We know the more we give, the more we get. So I would say, hey, I appreciate your concern, but I'm going to do what's best for the company because we're all on the same team. And Courtney, I promise you, if you do this, you will reap the rewards in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you don't see it yet, but I'm telling you, it'll be a good thing in the long run. So I'm on your side, and I think that your leader just has a little bit of personal growth that she needs to go through. So why don't you get her to sign up for this program, and then hopefully she's not in here, right? I hope I didn't offend anybody or step on their toes. But once again, people don't do this from the perspective of they're trying to be harmful. They think they're doing the right thing because that was probably most likely what was modeled to them. But we need to break this cycle of scarcity thinking to uplift and transform this profession. So that was my little rant there. All right. So Megan says that she is, hey Megan, I'm having a really hard time trying to find the balance between finding success with my business and letting the Lord use me through my business. I believe they are intertwined. They are, by the way. I found great success, but it's when I've been in complete ego mode. Now that I'm making it about serving others and trying to follow what I believe is God's will, I feel like I've become stuck. So when I'm doing it the self-serving way, I get results. When I focus on serving God and serving others, I get stuck. Well, listen, first of all, Megan, I appreciate your vulnerability in bringing this up. I may or may not be able to help you in this particular setting because I probably would need to really understand more to dive deeper into this. But I would be curious, and maybe you can comment back this. When you say you're doing it in complete ego mode, how is that different from serving, because in my mind, the actions are the same most of the time. Maybe there's some slight nuances, but it's really what's in your heart when you're doing it. It's really just your attitude and mindset. And there really shouldn't be much of a departure. So maybe you could comment back and give me a better understanding about what you mean when you say doing it in ego mode, and then maybe I might be able to help you more. Okay, let's see here. Heather says, any tips for in-person prospecting events? We have a big one tonight. So Heather, are you talking about like an opportunity meeting? I'm guessing, probably. My tip would be this: have tons of testimonials. Here's what I learned very early on in my career. Facts tell, stories sell. That's like a sales 101 thing. And what I always knew, like we knew that if we were doing an opportunity meeting, that we must, more important than even the presentation, we needed good testimonials. We needed testimonials from people that were brand new in the business and had no idea. Like I didn't, a lot of times we would just have the people that have like been in forever and had a lot of success, and that's okay. But the ones that are most effective are the brand new people that like still don't even know what they're doing, and they're so nervous to share their story because that's real. People connect to that. People relate to that. So make sure you have tons of people just share their story, 2 to 3 minutes, really short and sweet. Guide them on it. Like here's a lesson that I learned early on. And we were doing the bigger meetings, we always had a microphone. And the lesson that I learned early on is you never give them the microphone. Because it is amazing how somebody can go from being so afraid to speak in public, you put that microphone in their hand and they transform, and 10 minutes later, once you give it to them, you can't get it from them. So we knew, we had, especially a new person, we held the mic. So we had control over it. So you know what I mean? So you could pull it away and you could guide them and direct them, but tons of testimonials, and make sure you coach them beforehand on what they should be saying, which is just sharing their enthusiasm and their excitement. Make sure they're edifying your system to give people the confidence to do it themselves. Okay, so Lisa asks, do you get on again for another three-way? Yes, Lisa, you follow up. Now, you may or may not, because if that new person, if that person follows up with you, so there's a couple of ways it can go. If I'm getting at somebody that's just like not really interested, kind of blowing me off, I want to think about it, then I might just let them do that. You usually know. But if it's somebody that's really interested, I may right then and there schedule that follow-up for all of us together. Hey, I've got my schedule right here. Why don't the three of us schedule a time to get back on the phone again? I used to do that all the time. So you may very well do that, and you'll go through the exact same process again. And you'll do that as many times as they let you until they make a decision one way or the other. Okay. Okay, Anna, good question, says, how do you best tell your team members not to talk during the three-way? Anna, you've got, here's the thing. You have to coach them beforehand that, look, explain to them the role that you're in. And you are the expert. And if they talk and interrupt you, it de-edifies and devalues your message. So I used to tell them beforehand, hey, look, if you can't fight the urge to chime in, mute your phone. And then here's the other thing, and I'm glad you asked this question. We used to have to coach people, and this is, we did a lot of three-way calls, so we taught people how to do these. The other mistake that they would make is after you got off the phone, they would sit on with their prospect and talk for 30 more minutes and then talk them out of the business. So you got to teach them, right? If somebody talked afterwards, I would say, hey, Anna, can I give you some coaching? Great. Well, hey, look, here's the thing. You really don't want to interrupt me. And it's not because I have like this ego, but let me explain to you what that looks like from the prospect's perspective. So I would just teach you that. And then we always used to say, look, when that call is done, get off the phone, be in a rush. Hey, I got to go. Can't wait to follow up with you in a couple of days. So these are examples of things that you need to teach your team. They should be a normal part of your training if you're doing a lot of three-way calls. Okay, so Lisa says, I'm struggling with how to do reach outs now. I used to just message people without thinking about the relationship. I've been doing live videos and stories once a week or more. Great job. Starting new conversations, but now worry about when to break up my biz. So Lisa, what you're doing is what's natural. you're overthinking this, you're creating red light stories. I will tell you this, if you're doing what you say you're doing, videos, stories, pouring into your audience, adding value, and you're not going right for the kill right away, that's good, but you've got to be willing to bring it up. You've earned the right to bring it up. And as long as you bring it up the right way, and if they're not interested, you don't press too hard or you don't ghost them, then that's fine, but you got to bring it up. You got to stop creating red light stories, keeping you from taking action, and you got to start creating different stories that will get you to actually make the offer. And trust me, you're not going to lose a friend, and you're not going to offend someone if you bring up your business from the perspective of, hey, just wanted to share this with you. If they're not interested, don't make it a big deal. So, all right. Okay, Tina said, I have somebody that said launch, but today I saw that she did her first post, and it is about our company and another one that she joined too. So she's basically promoting two companies in the same post, which to me is my first red flag that this is probably not somebody that's going to be a really strong prospect for me, at least at this point, if they're already promoting two businesses. Maybe she just doesn't know any better. So Tina, you have a responsibility to point out to her how that might not be the best thing. Now, ultimately, she's going to do what she wants to do, but you need to get her to understand why that might not be the smartest thing to do. It kind of sends mixed signals. So coach her on that, tell her it's up to her whether she makes the corrections. If she doesn't, then just kind of let her do what she's going to do. Hopefully she brings someone to you that you can work with that'll take it more seriously, but that would be how I would say to handle that situation. Megan says, okay, so Megan's response back is that she thinks the actions need to look different. In ego mode, it was my thinking. It was seeing people as a number and being all about getting my name on the leaderboards rather than serving my team and giving them systems that will set them up to succeed. So I think maybe you answered my question. I think I'm assuming that my actions need to look different. Okay, so Megan, thank you for that clarification. And I think, yeah, I mean, that's the point. Your actions are no different. It's your attitude and it's your heart. Are you really just in it for yourself, or are you really in it to help other people? Now, there are nuances different. Like when you're prospecting, are you taking the time to really get to know your prospects? Finding out what's missing in their life. Trying to prescribe solutions instead of just looking at them as a commission check. Are you really serving and reaching out and helping your team versus just doing it in a self-serving way? So you're either a servant leader or a self-serving leader. Self-serving leader does something like this. You don't hear from them until it's 2 days before the end of the month and they're about to hit a big goal and they want you to put in orders so that they can get their promotion. That's a self-serving leader. Legacy leaders are servant leaders. Legacy leaders are in constant communication with their best people. How can I help you? What can I do? It's a small difference. It's a subtle difference, but it is like monumentally more effective. So that would be my piece of advice. Okay, cool. So what other questions we have? Hey, while I'm waiting, I got time for like one or two more. I just want to remind you, we are 1 week away. Next Thursday is our April masterclass, and it's called the Rank Advancement Blueprint. And I am going to teach you how to start running your business like a business, tracking it, knowing your numbers, running it like a CEO, so that you can start hitting ranks much faster. I'm going to give you the game plan to crush whatever that next rank is in your compensation plan faster than you've ever done that before. So put that on your calendar. I'll be going live here in the group next Thursday night. Okay, so Julie says, we just had a big contest and a big push in March. I was reaching out to 50 to 100 people per day. I achieved the goal and won the prize, but now I feel like I need to wait a while to talk to people about product and business and not push people away. Still reaching out, building, maintaining relationships, but I feel like I'm struggling to get any customers or team members this month. So, Julie, here's where I get a little concerned. I get a little concerned that reaching out to 50 or 100 people a day, that maybe you are not doing it in the best way. Maybe you were copy and pasting. Maybe you were not, making individual connections. I always get nervous when I hear people did that because you would literally have to be on Messenger 24 hours a day to do that the right way. So now, having said all that, what's done is done. It's in the past. So I think what I do at this point is I start circling back to people that there's still an open loop in terms of, I never really found out if that person was interested. So if you really reach out to 50, 100 per day, you should have a lot of people that are still kind of hanging out there that maybe now you have some more time to go back and make more of a personal connection with them and find out if they're interested. So that would be what I would say to do. Shay has a follow-up question from my Instagram training yesterday. Her account is business so that she can get the analytics, but from the reader's point of view, it is my name for the handle with lifestyle and business posts. That does not matter, Shay. The type of account has no bearing on the content that is created, so does not matter at all. Okay. Yep, Judy, I love that. Ego is edging God out. Okay, last question, then I gotta run. Stephanie says that my upline has a public Facebook group that holds weekly opportunity and product demos. Amazing. I love that. They want their downline to feed contacts to the public group. Great. That's what you should be doing. They ask who sent them and require that to be added, but to the extent that the sharing they ask people to do. So Stephanie, I think that's a great strategy, and I think it is good that they're asking who sent you, although I don't know that that's really necessary, because the person that you send is obviously going to come back to you. So I'm not sure what the question is there, but I love the strategy, and I think it's something that I would definitely be promoting. So, yeah, Julie, so I could imagine you probably were on there 24/7. But listen, so hey, look, I gotta run. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of the office hours today. Make sure you put that on your calendar next Thursday, the Rank Advancement Blueprint. It is going to be an incredible training, and I'll talk to all of you real soon. Take care.